She just closed the door hard and somehow ended up with $5 million because the door number shook from 6 to 9, so the delivery guy left the wrong package. At first Annie didn't know. She kicked the package inside, but when she opened it, she was terrified. It was filled with stacks of cash, at least $5 million by her estimate. But before she could celebrate, two men knocked on her door, asking if she'd seen a package. Annie was afraid of the men, but driven by greed, she summoned the courage to shake her head no. The men didn't press further and left immediately. Annie thought she had fooled them and rushed to move the money, when suddenly the sound of her door being kicked in. Annie quickly threw the money onto a cabinet. The thugs entered her home. One immediately slapped her to the floor, then grabbed her by the hair, threatening that if they found the money, she was dead. Then they began ransacking the house. Annie was too scared to move, while the $5 million was about to fall from the cabinet. Just as the younger thug was about to check under the bed, the bag fell right in front of him. She was delighted, but suddenly a bottle smashed against her face. The boss rushed over, knocked Annie to the ground with one punch. A woman couldn't withstand a man's violence. Immediately her nose was bleeding. Then, the man pinned Annie to the bed, choking her neck forcefully. Annie had no strength to fight back. Just as she was about to be strangled to death, she accidentally felt a knife. Annie kicked the boss, making sure he was dead. At this point Annie was completely panicked. How had she become a murderer? In her fear, her first reaction was to go to the police station, but after sitting for an hour, no one paid attention to her. Thinking about the hellish life in prison, Annie changed her mind. She decided to dispose of the body and leave with the money. After hastily hiding the body, Annie found someone to make fake ID, planning to flee the country. When she returned home, she found cigarette butts in the toilet. Annie immediately realized someone had broken in. She grabbed a kitchen knife, searching for the intruder. The man in the closet also raised his gun, ready to shoot her when she opened it. Just as Annie was about to open the closet, suddenly there was a knock at the door. Annie turned to answer it. It was Officer Forbes, who entered Annie's home without permission, saying someone was committing a crime next door and wanted to use her balcony for the arrest. Annie nervously gripped the knife, her eyes occasionally glancing toward the box hiding the body. The officer sensed something was wrong and looked toward the box, quickly discovering the man's body. Annie was terrified. She dropped the knife and knelt with her hands on her head. She knew she couldn't escape this time, but just as the officer was about to check under the bed, the man in the closet untimely chambered around. Officer Forbes immediately heard the sound and pointed her gun at the closet.